This is Long Way to the Top, and I'm your host, Shayne Brian. Australian country music has entered a new era over the past few years. Bigger stages, bigger hooks, bigger stories, and right at the front of that movement is Casey Barnes. From regional pubs to national tours, from golden guitar wins to becoming the voice behind the NRL on a 9 anthem made for this, Casey has built a career the hard way through grit, resilience, and an unwavering belief in what he does. Now he's back with what might be his most personal and defining album yet. It's called Made for This, and it captures every side of his journey. The anthemic country rock sound that fans know and love, mixed with some of the most vulnerable songwriting that he has ever shared. The new record also features a major collaboration with Australian music icon Pete Murray on a powerful new duet called Time to Burn. It's a song about slowing down, being present, and holding on to the moments that matter most. With more than 90 million global streams, chart-topping releases, and a reputation as one of Australia's most electrifying live performers, Casey Barnes continues to prove why he's such a major force in modern Australian country music. I'm Shayne Brian. This is Long Way to the Top, and my special guest today, Casey Barnes. Casey Barnes, new single with Pete Murray. Welcome to the show. How are you, mate?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
When I saw the song come through with you and Pete Murray, I had to put it on, had to listen to it, and I've got to say, you guys should be touring together.
Man, it's on the cards already. Yeah, look, we've Pete and I have known each other for, believe it or not, for 20 years. We met a long time ago through sport, believe it or not.
Really?
John Eales, who used to be the captain of the Australian rugby team, used to use Pete for some of these rugby corporate events.
Yeah.
And then Pete blew up, and he's had that, that debut album Feeler. Everybody had a copy of back in the day, myself included, and they needed somebody to fill that role. So I got the tap to take the reins, and I got the gig. And then Pete and I met at one of the events and became mates, and we've sort of always stayed in touch since then. And I guess, over recent times, we've talked about doing a song together, and we're trying to find the right topic to write about, and this song just fell out of the sky. Time to Burn, and it's all about making the most of now, because life goes by so fast, and before you know it, you can't get time back. So it was a really great idea, and Pete loved it, and it seems like the fans are resonating with it at the moment. So that's great.
This would have to be one of the first country songs that he's done, I reckon.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and he's not. He's really excited because he wants to dip his toe into country.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons. We talk a lot, and he's sort of made a couple of trips to Nashville, and some of the songs on his new album have got a bit of a country flavour to them. So he's keen to do that, and my stuff, as you know, sort of crosses over a little bit into his world. So it's a great combo, and who knows, maybe next year we might do some shows together and hit the road.
Like the Osmonds, hey? A little bit country, a little bit rock and roll.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, the whole album, I've got looking through, people who were involved in the album, a rather interesting name there in the production that I came across, and that is Michael Painter. Now, Michael Painter, of course, has been with Icehouse for ages. He's got his own tour, and he is playing John Farnham in the new Whispering Jack musical. How did that collaboration come about?
Man, well, for starters, he is one of the most talented people in Australia when it comes to music.
And what a voice.
Oh, just ridiculous. And for so many years, we've been, same with Pete, we've been mates for a long time. We've been working together for, nearly 15 years writing, and he's produced a lot of my albums, that the ones that have won ARIAs and Golden Guitars. Yeah. Michael Painter had a lot to do with the production and writing of those tracks, and he's always felt for a long time that he was comfortable being behind the scenes. And I just used to get in his ear all the time saying, mate, this is such a travesty and a waste of talent. You're so ridiculous that you can't just be the guy that's, in the studio. And I think, when he got that role playing the lead of Jesus Christ Superstar, it sort of gave him that that inspiration to get back into it. And there's obviously, Australia's fallen in love with him, as they should. And, now he's got the role of the lead in the John Farnham musical, which wouldn't go to anyone out there if they didn't deserve it. So he's extremely talented.
I fell in love with his sound when when Icehouse came through Launceston, and he got up and sang "Man of Colours," and just the voice was just like liquid honey.
Oh, it's ridiculous. But being in the studio with him is another thing. Hearing him sing when you're there recording, and the other thing that is great about him is a lot of the stuff that he's learnt flows on to me as well. When we're recording and a lot of the songs on this new album, he gets you out of your comfort zone. And he really makes you. Gets the best out of you. So, the vocals are always, he's pedantic about everything. And I love that because I'm the same. And, he wants your songs to be the best they can. And superstar.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I'm really glad that he's involved with that. How do you feel when you're working with people like Michael and, Pete Murray and, they've been there, they've walked that road, they've done it. And you're coming along and, you've been forging this career and suddenly, I would say in the last 2 years, things have just started falling into place now with you. Do you feel that they've all been part of that journey going along to where you are now?
Oh, for sure. It's spooky just the way that things have worked in my career. People like Pete, I remember, we laugh about it now, but I used to do covers gigs in Launceston. That's where it all started for me. And then I moved up to the Gold Coast and did lots of, those acoustic pub gigs. And I remember playing Pete Murray covers, back when that album exploded. In fact, I was playing one of his songs when my wife happened to walk past the day that we met. And that's why she stopped. So Pete thinks that's pretty cool. But
so she thought you were Pete Murray?
She probably did.
No.
She's very disappointed, but no, it's funny, like if someone had to come along to me, 20 years ago and said, listen, not only, you're going to go from this guy that's doing covers gigs to you're going to win ARIA awards and gold guitars, you're going to tour in America, you're going to sing with Pete Murray, you're going to do all these things, I would have just thought you were crazy. So, but then again, as a kid growing up, I always just had that dream of doing this, and always had that support. And that started back in Tassie, a great high school music teacher at Ulverston High, where I went to school, and sort of all started there.
And like, you say it's been, incredible things that are happening to you now. It has been a 20-year journey for you. And, I even remember, catching up with you at a cafe in on the Gold Coast that happened to be your office at the time, where you were just hustling to try and, get your name out there. I mean, those days were you look back now, they were really tough, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think you appreciate the good things unless you've gone through the tough times, and funnily enough, it's a real theme in this album. There's a lot of tracks on there that touch on, times where you might have wanted to throw the towel in and just gone, this is too much. I don't know if I can do this anymore. And there's one particular song that it's funny, going back to Michael Painter, because he's worked with me for such a long time. I remember when we were finishing the album, there was a couple more tracks that we were finalising, and there's a track called Still in the Fight, which hasn't come out yet, but he's really brutally honest, and he said, he'll tell you if he doesn't think a song's great, if you bring a song to him, but on this occasion, when we finished it, he said, this is the best song you've ever recorded. And coming from Michael Painter, I was like, I'll take that. And that song is all about literally, all the times that you've maybe wanted to throw it in, but you haven't, and you've kept going and you've kept believing. And it's an anthem. It's an anthem that I think a lot of Australians are going to resonate with. Anyone that's been through tough times.
Pretty much all of Australia, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, it hasn't been even, with everything that's happened over the last few years, it hasn't been an easy road for anyone, I don't think.
Oh, and the first person that comes to mind, it gives me goosebumps, but, learning of Neil Danaher's, obviously he passed away, and I just saw that guy as as an inspiration, as just a human, full stop, that was just given this terrible diagnosis and probably not given. It was literally months, I think, when he first was told, but he fought for years, and that's the definition of what this song is all about. When sometimes when people, you get told this is going to happen, you're like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
You can stick it up your backside, and I love that.
But also, I mean, I know he went through tough times, and we've all been through tough times, but he's a perfect example of taking those tough times and making a diamond out of it, so that, look at what he achieved in his lifetime,
Yeah, and the legacy that he's left. And I think, I think Australia needs more people like him. It makes me sad when you see, it's too often we drag people down, and it's not warranted. I think, and then you see people like him. We need to have more people flying the flag, and Aussies getting behind him. I think that's that's what it's all about.
100%. Now, I want to talk about the album that is due out on August 7. Love the album cover. We don't pay enough attention to the album cover. I'm getting a real Hilltop Hoods vibe out of it, I've just got to say, right?
Oh, that's cool. I'll take that.
Yeah. It's just the whole thing, and I guess it's that strip back, and you're looking up at the light in that whole, where did the concept of the cover come from?
Man, amazing, incredible photographer, Zach Rogers. He's done some stuff with me before, and he had this really cool idea. We didn't want to just shoot a stock standard, boring old album cover. We wanted to do something that had a little bit more depth to it. And he had this great idea of, under a spotlight, and you sort of, it's like you're nearly looking up to the universe, just saying, I'm ready for the moment. And, he's captured like this beautiful puff of smoke in the background. It's just sort of, I don't know, it's very, very cryptic. I could get right into the detail, but I don't want to sound too weird, but it's a pretty powerful single cover. I'm stoked with how it turned out.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's go back to when you first moved into that country mode, because I feel like that was when everything sort of shifted for you. Would that be right in saying that?
Yeah, it did. I always thought playing covers gigs in Lonnie as an 18-year-old that I was going to be the next, Rob Thomas, Matchbox 20. That was the vibe.
Yeah.
I really love that, and I still have huge respect for Rob Thomas. But then I made this trip to Nashville and fell in love with the place. And over the years, I had so many people come up to me at gigs, and they'd often just say things like, have you ever thought about a career in country music? And maybe it was just something in my voice or something. And back in those days, I was like, nah, I'm not doing bloody country. I'm not interested in that. I didn't understand how the depth of how broad the genre was. But I made this trip to Nashville and fell in love with the place. I mean, I remember catching the bus to school in high school, and it was back in the days when Rick Price was just all over the radio in the 90s. And I really had this pipe dream of I would love to meet Rick Price. And I knew he was living in Nashville. And this is just serendipitous things that happen in your career. But I was at a cafe ordering a sandwich. He just happened to be standing behind me in the line. I didn't know. And I ordered my lunch, and I just heard this voice say, I recognize that accent. And I've turned around, and I'm just going, holy crap, it's Rick Price. And the next thing, I was doing a show that day, invited him along. He came. He turned up to the show, which I was blown away. And then I finished the gig, and he came up and gave me a hug, and we wrote our first song the next day. So he had a lot to do with, that initial introduction to country. And then Michael Painter, I was introduced to him. And then it went from there.
Yeah. And Rick Price, I've got to say, one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. And
yes,
you've obviously been to his studio. The amount of instruments he's got just lying around. He's like, oh, have a look at this one. It's just like crazy.
Dude, honestly, one of the craziest things, he's got this beautiful home in Nashville, and he'll have these jam sessions, and he'll just ring up a bunch of buddies and say, listen, I'm having a jam at my house tonight, and they'll all rock up, and you just sit there with your jaw on the ground and go, I can't believe I'm sitting here singing and jamming with these guys who've played on these famous records or toured with these bands, and it's like unbelievable. But yeah, it's just the sort of place that it is.
Yeah, yeah. Now you're going to be touring. We're going to get to the Launceston bit in the moment, but I've got some dates here. So you're heading out to on the road on August 8th, so the day after the album comes out. Gold Coast, Brisbane, Melbourne, Barwon Heads, Rockhampton, Gladstone, Cairns, Townsville, Caboolture, Sydney, and then finally Launceston. All the dates you can find on your website, which is caseybarnes.com.au. Let's talk about Launceston Country Music Festival. I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, me too. It's spooky. You know, where it's actually happening there is literally opposite. It's the park that's, you know, backs onto Launceston College, and the little Irish pub that I used to walk past every day on my way to go to school there at Launceston College. And I used to think I just want to get my name on the blackboard there one day, and that was my goal. And it's a full circle moment of going from that being my first ever gig to coming back and playing, you know, a festival there with the Wolf Brothers, and it's going to be a great lineup. And I know there's a lot of people that the tickets are selling really well, so I think it'll be a great day.
Yeah, it'll be a massive event, and you know, hopefully you'll make it back to Launceston before that gig actually happens.
Yeah, so, well, we were talking off air. I really want to come down, you know, the week of the album release, and even if it's just a little pop-up gig for fans, and we can, you know, come down and play a few songs, sell a few albums, and these some of these T-shirts we were talking about off
actually,
air.
let's talk about that, because you can get them from your website. You can pre-order now, and there's T-shirts, there's flanos, there's stubby coolers, right? Anything else that I've missed out on there?
There's all sorts of stuff. We've gone crazy with this album, actually. I thought we'll bring out, we've even done, this is things that I've never done before. A really close friend of mine, Hayley Warner, she went on tour. She's an Aussie recently, and she had Hayley Warner socks, and they sold like hotcakes. Every show, she sold out of these socks. And I'm like, I'm doing Casey Barnes socks. So we're doing those. And all sorts of stuff.
USB keys that you can actually buy as well, I think I saw. Was that right?
Little dog tags.
Dog tags,
we're doing
that's
those.
right. And that the dog tag is a USB key with the album on it. What a great idea.
Yeah, and these flanos that my wife helped design, just really cool. So yeah, it'd be nice to have some new merch, and I'd love to get down, you know, to see. I mean, Tassie's where it all started for me, and I know I've got so many really loyal fans down there that have stuck with me for a long time. So it feels like the right thing to come down.
And is there a duet with the Wolf Brothers on the cards?
You're actually the second. I did a radio interview earlier today, and with a station in South Australia, and they asked the same thing. I think we need to get our acts together.
I think so.
It's about time. Tom Wolf's always stirring the pot a bit, so I think you know, he keeps hanging it on me because I claim to be this Tasmanian, but I haven't lived there for a while now. So he's like, you can't say you're Tasmanian anymore. So that's funny.
I love it. Well, look, it's absolutely fantastic. I've got all the dates that I'll put onto the description, and the link to pre-purchase the album. Buy an album, buy a vinyl, buy a flanny. Why not? And show your love for Casey Barnes and this brand new album. Looking forward to it. I've got to say, I don't buy country music. I'm just going to put it out there. I've never bought a country music album in my life. I will be buying a Casey Barnes album. There you go. You've converted me.
That means the world. In fact, you know, that's so funny. I want to get this on a T-shirt, a slogan similar to that one day, because I often we'll do our own live shows, and it might be the partner or the wife or whatever, that's the fan, and they'll bring along the husband or the boyfriend. And at the end of the night, we'll be doing a bit of a signing and stuff. And, you know, usually they've had a few beers, and they'll come up at the end of the night and they'll go, you know what, mate? You know, they'll probably swear, which I won't swear on your podcast, but they'll say something like, you know, I don't bloody normally like that country stuff, but I like your stuff, mate. I like your stuff. So it's like, I've got to get something on a T-shirt, because that's great.
Perfect. Well, look, thanks for joining us on the show. I know you've got another interview coming up, so I'll let you go to it, and all the best with the launch.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, mate. Casey Barnes, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Long Way to the Top. Hit plus or follow to subscribe to the podcast, and head over to Facebook at the Long Way to the Top podcast and give us a like. Keep on rocking, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Long Way to the Top.